and today we are joined by a very special guest sitting right here in the Zoom call. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm William Doyle. Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the show, William. You recommended a movie on Thursday, but we got you in here on Tuesday as well to talk a little bit about the Blob.
Oh, he slips and slides and glides and flies around the room.
He really does. He does. But first, before we get into the movie, I do want to thank all the patrons that support us over on Patreon. Be sure, if you want to support the show, check us out over there, patreon.com/driveindoublefeaturpodcast. But yeah, getting into the Blob, 1958. Both of you guys have seen it already, right?
Yeah, it's actually been one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid. I had it on VHS for a while and probably have seen it now about 10 times, I'm thinking.
Jeez.
I saw it one time as a kid, and up until last night when I watched it, I always thought the movie was in black and white.
What? It's always been in color.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I remember the movie weird. Being in black and white.
Because
did you have a black and white TV?
No. I don't know. It's
interesting.
Dude, I don't know.
So when you turned on the Blob and you just see all these like colorful images, are you like, what is going on?
I was like, okay, hold on, wait. this isn't right. Because also the picture on HBO Max is in black and white for this movie.
That sounds like HBO Max. If it's old, they'll just throw black and white on it. That's weird though. I'm sure there is a black and white version out there of somebody just getting rid of the color, but I don't know why you do that.
No, there's no official version.
No, because like I said, I watched this movie probably when I was like 8 years old, and I know for a fact I would have never watched it if it was black and white at the time. So I don't ever remember there being a black and white version.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I have never seen this movie. This was my first time. I picked it today because I know, William, you've always talked about the remake and how much it scared you as a kid.
Yeah, I was like, okay, terrifying.
Yeah, and I was like, let's get you on here. Let's talk about the classic, and then maybe we can get to the other ones later.
Did this one scare you?
No, not even a little bit. But there is a scene in the remake, the 80s remake, where somebody just gets absolutely eviscerated inside a telephone booth, and it's horrifying.
Yeah. The Blob in this movie are like, I guess the Blob and its remake are completely different movies.
Totally
They're
different.
like complete polar opposites.
This is kind of goofy, right? There's like some humor in it.
Oh, it's very silly.
Yeah. What I really like about this movie a lot is not so much the horror elements of it, because as a sci-fi movie, it's a little boring. Just it's very dry. But the things I appreciate about it now, what I did when I was younger, is that it's kind of like everybody has their own little personality in this town. Like everybody has like everybody has their own little backstory. And I forgot. I was like, oh wow, these are actually like more memorable characters than I remember.
Yeah, like the two friends of like what at first you think is the bully character, but like they're friends. The person.
That was. Well, they didn't seem like friends at all in the first scene.
He like puts like what is it, a trash can lid on his head or something, right? Like it's like, hey, you're the king.
Oh, I thought that was like his hubcap or something.
Oh, it's something like that, and it's just like playing with them. But yeah, they team up later in the movie to fight against the Blob. All of these teenagers, quote unquote teenagers.
Yeah.
Nobody looks like a teenager, and everybody acting in it is far away from a teenager.
Yeah.
The one character, which I didn't even realize is what he said, and when I watched it when I was younger, but you pay attention to the dialogue a lot more now. Mm-hmm. There's one, so there's like two cops in there. There's one that's like super laid back, like kind of like, hey, you kids get out of here, doesn't get him in trouble. And there's one that's like, these teenagers are a menace. And then they explain why that guy's like that, and they say it in just one throwaway line where they're like, oh yeah, just because some teens killed his wife in a turnpike accident, all of a sudden, I was like,
I'd be mad at teens too if they all killed my wife in a turnpike accident.
All the teens in the whole town murdered his wife.
It was a hit job.
Yeah. But I guess what's funny about it is I know Steve McQueen looks old, right? He looks like a 28-year-old, which what he was.
Yeah.
But I think he does a good job of playing young. I know that's weird to say. Like, I feel like he gives off a good energy.
Anytime he goes anywhere, he just forgets what he was doing previously. It's like
much
wild.
like me as a teen.
Well, so I did listen to the commentary I listened to both commentaries that were on the Criterion channel. There's one that's done by the producer of the movie and one done by the director. And the direction he gave Steve McQueen was, don't act young, just act very curious and just eager to please, kind of. And he kind of does. I mean, he doesn't do like the, oh, I'm a teenager, I'm a hot-blooded guy, or whatever. But he does like the whole like, yeah, I'm here to solve the problem.
Yeah, dude, he just like does everything anyone tells him to do. Like, hey, go drive out and talk to some people to figure out what happened to this guy.
Oh yeah, that was weird. Where like, so they find an old man that he's the first one to encounter the blob, and his first instinct is to touch it, whatever that fell out of the sky.
Yeah. Well, he touched it with a stick, and then it jumped up the stick, right?
Yeah, but
I would probably poke it with a stick.
Okay, but if it became like drooling down the stick like that, would you drop the stick at least, or would you like, let's see what's going to happen here?
Yeah, if it started traveling up the stick.
Well, yeah, I would probably drop the stick.
But I think the idea is that it traveled fast up the stick.
Faster, yeah. It like jumped up onto his hand.
Yeah, but yeah, they find Steve McQueen and his girlfriend, who were like at make out point. He's like, I swear I've never brought anyone up here, baby. But
classic line.
and they take him to the doctor, and when the doctor tells him, oh, go ask around and see what happened. I'm like, why is that his job?
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It also like does this weird like, it adds like this extra plot line there that I don't think is needed, where like the doctor's about to go on vacation, and then he's like, oh, I'm not going on vacation. And then the old lady's like, he's supposed to be on vacation.
Well, that's used to make him, sound less believable.
I think they still could have done it. There's a giant mast from space. I think it still would have been fine to make him unbelievable.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of jumping around over here, but the director, you know what this movie was originally called?
The Thing.
No, well, The Glob.
Yeah, the Glob.
The Glob. Oh, damn.
They ran into copyright issues, though. I guess some.
Why? From what?
I guess there's some comic strip, some classic comic strip called The Glob.
Yeah.
Sticky comic.
So just some other stuff in here too. Like one thing I always like with a lot of these types of movies is it makes me feel very of its time, type of time period. And this one is very, very, very 50s.
Yes,
like,
incredibly.
And I really like that immersive experience where it's just, it all takes place in one night too, which the timeline of this is really strange because I'm trying to figure out like what time is it exactly, and because like even like the team's like, oh, we got to head over to the midnight show, and they're at the midnight show, but then they pull them out of the midnight show, and then even by the end of the movie, it's still dark.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I felt like this movie has a very interesting like tone to it, just because it all takes place at night, and it feels very like empty too. There's nobody in town, which would make sense because it's supposed to be
almost like a studio set.
Well, of course, like a studio set, but it feels like a really like solid tone to it. It feels kind of eerie.
It goes with the like kind of everyone has their own like personality. It's like I guess like a small town type deal. It really gives like a small town setting, and that's probably why the doctor had him go back up to check on the old man.
Yeah.
He knows the doctor. He calls him the doc.
Yeah. The town's one doctor.
Yeah.
There's like the one cop too that is playing chess with another cop over the radio, and it's like night to L5 or whatever. So I thought that was pretty funny too.
Like you said, there's just some really good character building, a lot of good theme building. I love costumes here. I know it's very much just 50s costumes, but like they're wearing like belt buckles backwards in this. Simple stuff like that I think is just like really neat to see. I can't believe, like, just reading into this movie, that this movie scared the crap out of people back in the day. Like, I mean, it must have been a really new experience, but like, I guess it makes sense in one end because the Blob does not show up. He doesn't show up to like he's hardly in the movie for being the titular character.
Yeah. I mean, he does have a couple of good scenes.
Yeah, he has some good scenes.
Yeah, the projectionist room is good. I like that when like he squeezes out into the movie theater.
I was gonna ask, what do you guys feel about the design of the Blob? Did you like it, or?
Yeah, he looks like a Jello. He looks like a little Jello guy.
He looks kind of yummy. Like I would eat him.
Yeah, I would probably also after poking him with the stick, taking a spoon, taking a little bite, seeing what happens.
But do you think he would have been better as a different color, maybe?
I think like like pinkish red is pretty good.
Yeah, I like the red because it's kind of like the blood,
like
it's
blood,
kind of bloody. Yeah.
I thought about like a green blob, kind of.
Yeah, a green like radioactive. But I'm kind of like okay, they didn't like go with that. I feel like the red adds like another worldly because it's supposed to be an alien. If you saw green, right, you probably think, oh, it's a radioactive freak accident, right? Something like that. So,
but red, I also like the red gives like a more, I guess, believable tone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's more likely this thing would be like a color of guts or something.
Yeah. I like the effects they do with the Blob just look really damn cool sometimes. Like you brought it up, the projection room where it just squeezes through the little windows.
Oh, like a damn Play-Doh pusher or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It squeezes through like a ventilation as well, so it does like a perfect line segments of like the ventilation when it goes underneath like a door threshold. This movie did a lot with miniatures and matte paintings as well, so like when it squeezed through the little projection holes, that was obviously like a little miniature thing.
Mm-hmm.
And where like the blob is like supposedly taking over like the entire diner. It's just like a matte painting and just drop the Blob on top of it and let it slide down.
Or I was gonna say in that same scene when the electric lines go down and it's all just animated.
Yeah, it's like
over
a cartoon.
The Blob. Yeah,
it's just a cartoon. Yeah,
mm-hmm. I like that.
The theme song though is pretty damn catchy.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. Who is it? Burt Bacharach, right? That's who sings it.
I don't know.
No, he doesn't sing it. Burt Bacharach did like the score to the movie.
Gotcha.
That's the part I always remember the most about this movie is actually the theme song. Like even as a kid, I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. And then I even think about that, and that's always when you say the Blob, that's always the first thing that comes to mind is actually the theme song to the Blob. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think like it's so weird, the like whiplash tone, because that theme song is so cheerful, child like friendly, like, oh yeah, we're gonna jam, and then the rest of the movie doesn't, it's silly, but I don't think it was supposed to be that silly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
just some like lighthearted segments to ease you from the scares.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it fits in with the time period. I mean, that sounds like songs that were popular back then. So because they even like went with like the whole theme of this movie. See, like the whole reason why we've talked about this on other movies is that they were kind of going for this really niche type of audience because they were trying to produce like these grand scale type of movies, and there really wasn't like a movie that could kind of cater to that audience. And this was kind of like. So one thing we didn't say is this was done by a Christian film company that did this movie.
What?
And
it's a Christian film.
The director.
There's no God here. Sorry, go ahead.
The director of this movie is actually super religious and actually does a lot of mission trips to like the Middle East and everything. And but it's just kind of funny. So they wanted to make a sci-fi movie that's fit for everybody, and I could see taking your kids to see this.
Yeah, it's good. Thing. It's not like overly violent or anything. I mean, you watched it as a kid, and it didn't hurt you, right? Right,
no,
Ryan?
No. Well, but, I do get afraid of blobs.
But I mean, this guy is really interesting, the director, because his other Christian movies he filmed. One of the other popular ones was one about teenage drug use, and it actually had real heroin addicts in it. Yeah, which is insane. It's just like, it seems like just listening to the commentary with him, he seemed like a really interesting person.
My jaw has been on the floor this entire time. This is insane.
Yeah, I mean, he made this in like what, the 4D Man is another movie, another sci-fi movie.
It was another one with one of the actors was Robert Strauss, who's an Academy Award nominee. He was a guy called the 4D Man who could actually walk through walls because his body didn't pertain to the laws of physics.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All part of the grand design, right?
Perfect creation, isn't it?
Just like the Blob.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
God makes mistakes too.
Hey.
But there was some really stupid things with this movie, stuff that I was like, oh, wow. So like one was, like you said, the Blob gets loose in the doctor's office, kills the doctor and the nurse, and makes a big mess of the place. And at first, like the policemen go in there and they say, they start touching everything because they don't know. I mean, it could be a murder or whatever, like a crime scene, and they just start touching everything because it's the 50s and they didn't care back then or whatever. But then like the housemaid or whatever for the doctor starts cleaning up and he's like, ma'am, don't touch anything. We got to dust for fingerprints. I'm like, you've been touching everything.
Yeah.
They can separate their own fingerprints.
Not if you smudge the other person's fingerprints.
That's true.
But there was that scene, and in that same scene, like the one police officer was like, yeah, these guys are just trying to make fools of us. I'm like, it's like, okay, so wait, they broke into a doctor's office, wrecked the place, told the police about it just to make them look like I didn't, just to fool them. Like, gotcha.
Well, isn't that like the running theme? Like, there's that one cop who's like, they're playing a prank on me. They're gonna get me. This dude's like off his rocker.
They already had done that, right? That cop helped them steal a car.
True.
That was explained earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
What, did he?
Yeah, because like they were like playing a prank on their friend or whatever, and they were hiding his car in neutral. And they said, "Oh, it's out of gas," and the cop helped him hide it, hide his car.
Gotcha. So it makes sense that he has he does not believe any teenager.
These damn teens.
Yeah, everyone hates these teens. I think about Steve McQueen at one point. He was a smoker in real life. I love this bit. In one scene, he didn't put out his cigarette and he just hides it behind his back. And you can see the smoke billowing up from behind his back in the shot. And I love that. That's like a fun little detail. Even the director's like, hey, look at this. Watch this. There's some smoke coming behind.
Hey, look what fucking McQueen did.
And I think that's funny because I was just listening to the commentary. It sounded like in the editing room, they didn't film enough. They didn't film like any covering shots, reaction shots. And they were working with the bare minimum. And I think you can tell.
It sounded like the director did not like this movie. Like he was just like, he's like, no matter how many years I've worked on this movie, no matter what other work I've done great work since then. And people keep asking me about the Blob.
Yeah.
Because he's ashamed of it.
Poor guy. The producer seemed a little more proud of this movie. And he really hated the remake. Like he didn't have much nice to say about the remake.
The remake's great.
It is.
It's way better than this movie. Hey, next time you have me, we should do that.
I don't know about that.
Before we do the 80s one, I learned that there was a Blob sequel. I never knew that until this movie.
There's a Son of the Blob.
Isn't there? It's a sequel to the remake, though, right?
No, it was made in the 70s.
Beware the Blob.
Yeah, Beware the Blob. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
and it's not a sequel though. It's just like a remake.
No, it's
a full-on
sequel, but it's more of a comedy.
Yeah, it looks like a comedy.
That's a good direction to take, I think.
Yeah, because it was 1972. I feel like this movie probably really fast turned into a campy, cheese fest.
I think so. I can't imagine too many people taking it seriously. I mean, even back then, you always hear of these other movies like Plan 9 from Outer Space, even when Plan 9 from Outer Space premiered, people were laughing in the theaters at how stupid it was or whatever. So, but you guys, we haven't talked about the best part of this movie yet, and that's the little boy, Danny.
I love
Danny.
Dan, who I guess just
He doesn't like me.
he says, I hate William.
So there's a little dog in there, and he's there like, oh, we might be bringing you a little dog home. He's like, oh, can I call him William? They're like, oh, William is a fine name.
Yeah.
Is that what your parents said when they were discussing your name? William is a fine name.
Yeah, a fine
they
name.
were like, William's a fine name, and they named me William.
And then Larry said, I don't like Nathan.
And he said, I don't like William.
I don't like William.
Yeah. And, okay. All right, man.
All right. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad. Yeah.
This
too late. Paper's signed. I'm William, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You can't change that anyway.
Can't change. Yeah.
No.
But the little boy was just a kid from the church that the director went to.
Same with the dog, right? The dog was one of the churchgoers.
Yeah, the dog went to church.
Yeah.
This kid, you know.
Did you know? God is dog spelled backwards.
That's it.
There it is.
That's it.
That's the one.
We talk a lot about bad child actors on this show. This is another added to the bad child actor canon.
Throw him in the pit.
Yeah.
Throw him in the kid pit.
Right next to the kid from Over the Top.
Yes. The kid from Over the Top might be a bit worse. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. Okay.
The kid from Over the Top's in the whole dang movie.
Yeah. But I like how like the little kid, Danny, he's got like a little pop gun and he's just pointing at the blob, and then even he's like, this isn't working, and then he throws the gun at the gun.
Yeah. I like that scene. I thought it was cute when the kid was shooting the blob with the gun. A little long. Didn't need to be that long.
Yeah, I mean, it's his fault that Steve McQueen and Jane got trapped in the diner technically, but.
Yeah. How would you feel if you were like a diner owner and someone came in and was like, you need to stay in the diner. You're not leaving. And
I thought I'd be getting robbed.
Yeah, I'd be like, what's going on here? I just want to go.
Yeah.
That scene got very dark, like, because there is like a part in that scene in the diner, like they're down in the basement or cellar or whatever,
and they're just like looking at each other.
They have like a scene where they're like accepting death. They're just like, yeah, we're about to die. It's over.
I like they hug Danny,
but luckily Steve McQueen finds a fire extinguisher and sprays the blob and saves the day.
And
Legend.
they have to send the blob to the Arctic, where they say hopefully the Arctic won't melt, and I'm thinking, uh-oh.
Yeah, I think the quote is it's like, as long as the Arctic stays cold, we'll be safe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
And says the end, question mark.
So they intended for the sequel to come out 70 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. They planned ahead. They were ahead of the curve. I love the ending too, where it just like kind of cuts to a box being dropped off in the Arctic.
Yeah.
I guess the big question is would you guys recommend The Blob?
I would. Yeah. So I would say, like, just overall, I don't think it's like a great movie or anything, but it's fun. I think it's a very good time capsule. It's cheesy. It's charming. I think it's worth saying you saw it at least once in your life and had a good time with it.
Yeah. You have to see The Blob, right? Like, that's one of the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a completely harmless movie. It's like you said, it's a great time capsule of the 50s.
Yeah.
It really gives you that feel like, oh, this is very of its time, and I don't know. It's a lot of fun. It feels very genuine. It doesn't feel like they're trying to like do any type of exploitive type of like horror, sci-fi, or anything like that. Where it's just like, oh, let's just show a monster, and that's the whole movie. But this one, there's personality to it. Which I like.
Like what you said, like you watched this as a kid. I watched this as a kid. Like you can watch this with a kid, right? Like it's not scary. It's not that scary. Did you get scared as a kid?
No.
Yeah, no.
I thought it was fun even back then.
Yeah.
This is a movie I'd always show to my friends too. I was just like, "Oh, have you guys seen The Blob?" And I'd get so excited.
A lot better than like the shit I was showing my friends. Have you seen the Sonic the Hedgehog movie? Like the
anime one?
Yeah, the anime one.
Oh, I thought you meant the one that came out like 2 years ago.
No.
Yeah, he's showing all of his friends from like...
have you seen Sonic 2 yet?
But I think that does wrap it up. So I'm going to ask you, Ryan, what are we going to be covering on Thursday?
Well, Nathan, on Thursday's episode, we're going to be talking about Them. And that movie is free on the, Internet Archive?
Yeah, the Internet Archive, and I found it on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So if you want to follow along with us, check it out on YouTube or there. It's what we'll be talking about here. Oh, and William, you want to talk about it with us?
Yeah, I do. I want to talk about that one more than I wanted to talk about this one.
Oh, great. Well, then just sit in your chair until Thursday, and we'll talk about it.
Yep, we'll get there.
I'll wrap myself up in a cocoon and, like an ant, spread my wings into a beautiful butterfly.
Yep. Treat your queen right.
Yeah.
And listeners, spread your beautiful wings and fly on over to our Twitter at DIDFpod, where you can get all of our updates. You can also check us out once again on Patreon and email us at driveindoublefeaturepodcast@gmail.com. If you have any